Hello, everybody, and welcome along to our latest GAA Museum Book Club author chat. I am absolutely delighted that we're focusing on children's books this month because there's some lovely ones out there at the moment, and I think summer's a great time to kind of remind your kids of all the lovely books that they can be reading and maybe get back into some reading for pleasure rather than maybe for school. So with that in mind, we invited Saniya Chughtai to join us today. And Saniya has written a lovely series of books. The first one we have here, which was our book choice, so Tach Plays in Croke Park, about our turtle Tach. So Saniya, you're very welcome. Thanks for taking the time to join us. I know you're across the water, the other side of the world, so you're very welcome.
Thank you very much, Julian. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm delighted to be on this.
You're kind of breaking up a little, Saniya. Do you want to repeat that there?
Well, thank you very much, Julian. I'm super delighted to be on the show right now.
Brilliant. Do you want to tell us kind of your story, I suppose, and how Tach came about and how important he has become to you and your plans kind of around Tach, and then we'll get into the book itself.
It's actually a very interesting story. My husband, Benny McKittrick, he comes from a line of GAA people. And I've been writing children's stories for the last 10 to 12 years. And he kept on saying, when are you writing books on GAA? And at one stage, I read that hurling is an ancient Irish warrior sport. And that was it, Julian. Like, I couldn't go to sleep. It was the fastest book that I wrote. The first one was actually called Attack in the Cossathor. And I wrote it in 3 days and 3 nights, and I looked it as well. I looked really, really bad. I hadn't slept through writing it. But, and that's how basically it started, my love for hurling. And ever since that, I can't stop writing about Tach the Hurler.
Wow. And why Tach? Why this character?
Tach, well, the company that I run is called the Wadi Tribe, and we have 28 characters. And when I was thinking of which animal or which personality, which character to use for hurling, for some reason, it was just turtles. And there was these 3 baby turtles that hadn't been developed yet. And I thought, this is perfect. And then while I was developing the personality and the character of the turtle, Tach just seemed to be the perfect name for it. And it was only later that I realized I have a turtle playing hurling, the fastest game in the world.
It's kind of good though. It's ironic, I suppose, but in a nice way.
Well, that's what I love about hurling, is that you can be any kind of size, shape. You don't have to be as tall as a giraffe. You can be a turtle. You can still play the game, and you can start very young as well. I believe that you can be the age 2 when you can start playing hurling.
Well, I guess so. Yeah, a lot of children probably would start playing that early. And is that kind of your audience? What's the target age for the book?
Well, Tach in the Cossathor, I have a copy over here. So this one is 6 years plus. This one over here, and it actually has a dyslexic font as well. So I do find that this is the most read copy because the parents love reading it as well. It's quite easy for the kids to read. And you can see from the cover, you have the Michael Cusack's Hurley stick over there. Or come on, I'm sticking with the word come on over here. And I love this one. So yeah, this one is 6 years plus, and Tach Plays in Croke Park that you showed earlier on is 4 years plus. And it has a lovely wipeable paper. I don't know if you saw that during yourself. So it's really great for sticky fingers. You just keep it. So hopefully the book will stay, in good condition for a long time.
Yes, I suppose the idea is the smaller kids would read this and then move on to the bigger books. And it's in Irish as well, I believe.
Yes, and it was such a proud moment for me when Tach Plays in Croke Park was translated in Irish by Cork COGG up in Ireland. And all the books were sold out, the Irish copy, within 2 weeks. So it's lovely to see the local languages being revived through storytelling.
So tell us, I suppose, about the Wadi tribe. Did Tach come first or did the Wadi tribe come first?
The Wadi tribe came first. It was supposed to be an entertainment company, but then my kids, when I moved them from Ireland, Ireland is home for them. They were born and raised over there. So when I moved them, my younger daughter, she went through anxiety. And what we did was we started using each character for different emotional intelligence, whether it was Tach, who has anxiety and fear, or another one who has self-identity crisis. And we saw that the impact was huge with younger audience, with primary kids. So suddenly we got the educational element, and the Wadi Tribe became an edutainment company. So sort of like Sesame Street mixed with Walt Disney, but based all on emotional intelligence and mental well-being.
So there's lots of characters, and would you imagine maybe some of the other characters in the tribe will come into play in future books about the GAA?
Oh, absolutely. So this is my favorite question. So Tach has two best friends. He's got Turwa and Ka. And Turwa will be playing Kamogi.
Wow.
I cannot wait to write the story. It's already in my head. And then Ka becomes a master honey maker. For me, the whole is made absolutely beautiful.
Sorry, can you just broke up a little bit again?
Set.
You just broke up a little bit again there. Would you
Where do you
mind
want me
saying
to
that
start?
again, because it's important?
Let me just open the door a little bit. Okay, can you hear me right now?
Yes. Yeah.
So I love that question. Tach has two best friends called Turwa and Ka. And Turwa is going to be playing Kimogi. I actually have the story in my head already, so I cannot wait to write that one. And then Ka and absolutely beautiful, where the whole idea of where the wood is coming from and how it's made to complement the players, the game. I just love that. So I think that's a story that needs to be told as well. And we've got amazing master honey makers up in Ireland as well. It's a tradition that is dying to be told for children in storytelling form.
And do you think the story of hurling and hurley makers appeals to maybe people who don't know the sports, or is that your aim?
I love the idea of people who are not aware of hurling to know where it's coming from as well, rather than just saying it's a sport, because hurling is much more than that. It defines GA as well, and I think the GA community comes into football and hurling as well, the vision and the mission and the values of it. So people who might not be familiar with hurling, the first reaction is that hockey. And it's a great conversation starter for me, because then I can go back to Michael Cusack's story and how it started. You know, you might have sticks and conkers, and it was an ancient warrior sport. It's actually protected, I think, by UNESCO since 2018 as well. So it's a great conversation starter. And the response, Julian, 100% all the time from kids is like, can we play this game? So I've taken the game to orphanages up in Nepal, and I've actually taken it to Karachi and Pakistan as well, Kathmandu, Nepal. And I would love to be able to bring hurling to them as well, not just as a sport, but as the whole ethos of GAA.
And you mentioned kind of going around to different clubs and different countries. You do that? You physically go and talk to children and meet children from all over the world with these stories?
Yes, so there's two things that I do. I do storytelling sessions with GAA clubs, because Tach and the Cosmethor, actually all the profits go back to juvenile clubs. So we have supported Dubai Kells, which is a great, there's a Dubai Org Children's Juvenile Club over there. So we've given back Tach slitters and commands to them. So that's that element of Tach the Hurler. The other element is that people tend to donate books now and then, and I take those books to orphanages, which is very, very close to my heart. And I do the same storytelling sessions one-on-one with all the kids over there, whether it's Kathmandu or in Middle East or anywhere in the world. I love doing that.
It sounds very exciting. And what's the reaction from children who maybe haven't heard of hurling before?
The first reaction is that they say, is that hockey? And I'm like, kinda, but hockey came from hurling. So the whole conversation starts. And then the second question, which is very, very popular, the fastest game on the feed, hurling. And the first time I was asked, I was like, that's a really good question. So you do need speed, but you also need a lot of strategy in hurling as well.
Brilliant. And I suppose, as well as you're traveling around telling your stories, you do have to sit down and write these books. Can you tell me a little bit about the writing process and how long, I suppose, it takes from start to finish, and then I suppose how the pictures come about as well as the text?
So once I have an idea, it kind of becomes like a movie reel in my head. So there's two ways. Normally, I would start writing on the computer, or I would go on walks and sort of record the concept that I have. And the first draft that I normally have, it could take between a month to 6 weeks. But Tack and the Costume Girl, like I said, was the fastest one. For whatever reason, I just could not stop writing. It was 3 days and 3 nights. Um, and then what happens is that once I have that, the first draft, I do send it to the editor. And he's quite funny. He normally says to me, "You have to get sober to edit your first draft. You've literally edited your head." So it goes back and forth, and after that, I have a pool of illustrators. There's I've got 6, 7, depending on what age group and what style of it. The Wadi Tribe has a very strong style, so we've got 3 or 4 illustrators. So they come on board, and we do storyboarding for it. And once that's finished, then it goes to the book design layout, and it puts together, and obviously it goes to the publishing and printing.
It must be exciting when the pictures start to come back and the characters start to come to life.
Oh, it's very exciting. There's some amazing illustrators doing it out there who just take your brief, and when they bring the character, I know that I've literally started crying having seen Tack. We are doing an animation on Tack, and the
yes, I was going to ask you about that. Brilliant.
Okay. Well, I leave it then.
No, keep going.
So Sean, who is doing the animation, because we're going into augmented reality, and the first time we brought Tack to life, I literally had tears in my eyes. I was like, it's like you brought him to life, and then he took his first steps. Now he's moving. So what we're doing is that we've got augmented reality, which means that when you put the app on the book or a sticker tattoo, it's going to come alive. So it's a great way of showing kids what a solo is, what a hurley stick is, different types, and also breathing exercises. If you, like in Tach Plays in Croke Park, Tack is playing against Grogox, who are massive. So obviously his fear kicks in, and then anxiety. So how do you breathe to calm yourself and start playing the game? And then the short film, fingers crossed, hopefully we'll have one ready by next year.
Wow. So the idea with the augmented reality is if you have the app on your phone, you can hover it over the story and different parts of it will come alive, so to speak.
Yes, exactly.
Brilliant. And then I suppose we better talk about this actual story, because you mentioned the Grogox there. Why, I suppose, did this story come about, or how did it come into your head that it would a Grogok? I've shown him here. Like it's very imaginative. How did it all come about?
So my husband Brendan would sit and talk about Grogox and different Irish mythical creatures as well. And I remember when I wrote Tack in the Costume for, if you I don't know if you have, I think you might have a copy of it.
Yeah.
So if you look at the map over there on the top right, there's actually a Grogok Island. So it was kind of in my head already when I wrote the first book. And in my research, I was like, well, I know what it needs to look like. I just need to give it a personality and create the team around it.
Brilliant. So basically, it's a whole world. You can keep going with this forever, if you wanted to. Like, there's so much potential. Is that the plan if all goes well?
It is, Julian. I would love to. The bigger picture is to create short films and have a TV series on the Wadi tribe where Tat, Kaw, and Towa are also main characters, and bring it to kids in the homes as well. That's the bigger group. So if there's anybody out there who want to support us in any which way, please get in touch.
And you have there's a website, isn't there, for the Wadi tribe as well?
There is, yeah. So the website is basically www.thewaditribe.com, which is THEWADI. Sorry.
And we can see all the characters on there.
Yeah, so there's a tab over there. If you look at the TWT characters, and if you hover on the character, it will show you the name of the character and a bit or one liner about the characters as well.
And have you any favorites apart from Tack?
Oh, geez. That's a very difficult question.
It's like picking your favorite child.
Do you know what it is, Julian? It depends on what mood I am. And I feel it's the same for people who work around me as well. Depending on their emotions, they would latch onto a character. Like sometimes I feel like I'm Tonza. He's the only giraffe in the world with an aquarium backpack. So his shadow looks like a camel. So he goes around telling but he's a camel, so he's in self-identity crisis, like, say, for example, if you've lived abroad for a very long time, are you Irish, are you Canadian, are
Yeah.
you Emirati, so where are your roots coming from, all that stuff. So I think for me, it depends what emotion I'm going through, so I latch into that. But yeah, a lot of the time you would hear me saying Tach is one of my favorite characters.
Good. I'm glad because we love him here as well, and he's been very popular. It's great to have kind of picture books for that age group as well because there are more maybe it's more difficult, I suppose, to publish them. I know they're more expensive, so there are less choices. So it's great to have some. And
This is
then
a question, Julian. Would you? I think it'd be great to get more Irish authors or people writing about hurling from a GAA Museum perspective.
yeah, for sure. And we have another kids' picture book coming up for our book club choice in August. So The Mice of Croke Park, which is a great one. So there's scope for loads. And we've had Emma Larkin, who has done a series about Izzy, who's a camogie. There's a camogie and a football one of those. So there's definitely more now than there has been. I think it's brilliant. So it's great to see. And
I would definitely encourage young kids to write as well picture books. I'm more than happy to help them if they want to put like a short story book together as well. I think you cannot beat a child's imagination, and a lot of my material when I'm doing storytelling session comes from kids as well. It's untapped imagination. Even within the question, there's a story there to be told. So I would strongly recommend parents who have kids all the kids are storytellers, who want to become an author. Please do so. Write about GAA, write about football and hurling. It's the best topic.
true, it is the best topic, and it's good to write about what you know as well.
Yeah.
And you were talking about your storytelling there, and that was actually going to be my last question. So, could you talk us through, I suppose, typically what you do when you sit down with a GAA club? I know they're often overseas GAA clubs, so expat community, and then first and second generation Irish. How do you kind of take people through the session, and then also how can people get in touch with you if they would like to do a session or to see if you're available?
So they can get in touch through the website. There's an email address, info@thewaditrap.com. That's the best way of getting in touch with me. What happens typically is that when somebody gets in touch with me at club, we create an activity pack which has coloring pages, and also it could have, like, if this is a baseball bat, or this is a hockey stick, this is a come on, which one is used for hurling. It promotes the game of hurling as well. Plus, also, it could be word search or fill in the blanks with your local club region. For example, if it's in the Middle East, or over here, the Mid-Atlantic, which we're talking to right now, in USA, the Mid-Atlantic GAA, we would have all the clubs' names. It's a great way of interacting with the kids. So within that, in the activity pack, we would have a brief about the Wadi tribe, and then a brief about the books as well. So you'd see the book covers and the synopsis as well for all the Tach hurling books, and where to get them, just to give an idea of to the parents, whether it's for 6 years, for the younger age group, does it have a dyslexic font, wipeable paper, all that, and the sizes, and what languages they're available in. So once that goes to the clubs, they normally send it to the district clubs and to the parents involved. And we set a date for storytelling session. I love in person, but because obviously with the pandemic, we were doing online, which was brilliant because that meant suddenly the world was open. Smaller clubs like from Vietnam and other places were getting in touch with me.
Wow.
Which is lovely. And I love doing small clubs as well, So you do an online storytelling session. Sometimes the clubs would get books beforehand or pin buttons, like embassies, the Canadian embassies in San Francisco, Counselor, they've been very helpful. So they would buy stuff, and during the storytelling session, they would have a Q&A and giveaway prizes to the kids as well. So in regards to the books, normally what happens once the PDF goes in, parents can buy beforehand or after the storytelling session, and I send signed copies with a little message, and you can get like a free bookmark. The kids love this, by the way, with all the characters' names and stuff. So, and then after the storytelling session, my favorite is to get feedback, from kids. So some parents send me pictures or with kids literally in front of the glue to the screen of the laptop, and a thank you saying, for that half an hour, I had a peaceful cup of tea.
So it sounds like it's all set up. And have you any storytelling sessions coming up at the moment?
Well, I'm hoping I might have one in USA, and there's a few other as well. The whole idea for me, Julian, is to contact the Irish embassies abroad, and then they get in touch with the GAA, or vice versa. Like I get in touch with the GAA chairpersons, heads, and they get in touch with the embassy. Together, the community creates a storytelling session. So that's where I'm going. So I'm contacting the embassies or the GAA clubs individually. So if anybody's listening to this, do get in touch with me.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, it's
I should have mentioned as well.
Yeah, it's a great service, and I think it's a really good way of engaging and getting younger kids, involved and enthusiastic. And maybe for kids who, aren't so sporty or they like the reading side of it, it's a brilliant way of including everybody that's involved in the club and beyond. So, yeah, we're looking forward to having you back here, hopefully for a storytelling session the next time that you're in Ireland. I know you visited us recently, so it was great to meet you. So I with that, I suppose I would like to say thanks a million for chatting to us. And if anyone would like to learn more, go to the Wadi Tribe website. There's loads of resources on there. It's really entertaining and interesting. And if anyone would like to contact Saniya, you can do that. So thank you so much, Saniya, for taking the time to join. I know we're on different time zones, so I appreciate it. And I will be back next month with the Mice of Croke Park. So thank you very much, everybody. Thanks, Saniya.
Thank you, Julian.